What you do today echoes forever. Let that sentence sink in, not just into your mind, but deep into your bones. Because it's not some poetic phrase designed to inspire you for a few fleeting moments. It is the law of life, the law of results, the law that separates the fulfilled from the forgotten. If you were to take everything you've ever wanted, every dream, every desire, every whispered ambition, you were too scared to say out loud and ask, what determines whether or not I get to hold this in my hands? The answer is your daily agenda. Not the grand goals you scribbled in a notebook. Not the vision board above your desk. Not the hope or the prayer or the mood you're in. Your agenda. The quiet, unsexy, invisible rhythm of what you choose to do when no one is watching. That sacred structure of how you spend your time, it doesn't just reflect who you are. It shapes who you become. And there is no escaping this truth. What you do daily, you become permanently. Your agenda is not just a schedule. It is a script, a blueprint, a prophecy. If you want to know where your life is heading, don't look at your dreams. Look at your calendar. Because here's the truth they don't teach you in school. Success doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing the right things every single day. And failure doesn't come from doing nothing. It comes from doing almost everything, except what matters. So let's cut the noise and strip it to the bone. Your destiny is not some distant date circled on a calendar. It is here. It is now. It is every minute you let slip into mindless consumption. Every hour lost to distraction. Every day spent being busy instead of building. Your destiny is a mirror, and your agenda is the hand that shapes its reflection. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. You don't need motivation. You need alignment. You don't need permission. You need priorities. Because your mind, if left unchecked, will betray you. It will convince you to scroll when you should be studying. It will beg for comfort when you should be chasing growth. It will feed you 1,000 small justifications for why tomorrow is better. But understand this, your mind is not your master. It is your servant. And if you don't program it with intention, it will default to distraction. That's why your daily agenda isn't just a habit, it's a declaration. A stand you take against chaos. A refusal to be another wandering soul waiting for life to happen. It's the discipline to decide that you will happen to life. And what does that agenda look like? It starts in the silence before the world wakes. It begins in those first fragile moments of the morning, when your will is strongest and your mind is clearest. That's when warriors are made. Not when the sun is high and the noise is loud, but in the early hours, where the weak are still sleeping and the future is still soft. What you do in the morning is a message to the universe. This is who I am becoming. So wake with intention. Don't check your phone, check your purpose. Don't scroll center. Don't react, create. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking. It comes from doing. It comes from structure. From putting on the armor of a well-planned day and stepping into the battlefield of life ready to dominate, not drift. Write it down. Review it. Live it. Your agenda should not be a suggestion. It should be a command. Ruthless in what it allows. Relentless in what it prioritizes. Because time is not just ticking. It's a blade. Every second that passes is slicing through what could have been. If you don't own the day will own you. And here's a truth few are willing to face. Most people are not lazy. They are just unaligned. They're chasing 10 different dreams with 100 different distractions, wondering why they feel exhausted but go nowhere. Like a man trying to sail in every direction at once. But you, if you dare to align your daily agenda with your deepest mission, you become unstoppable. Because now every step you take is not just motion, it's momentum. Every action you take is not just a task, it's transformation. This is where belief begins. In the consistency of your action, in the pattern of your discipline. You don't believe in yourself just because someone tells you you're great. You believe in yourself when you've watched yourself follow through. When you say, I will do this. And then you do it again and again and again. That's how confidence is built. Not in grand achievements, but in the quiet conviction that you are the kind of person who shows up for your goals, for your health, for your craft, for your legacy. Don't wait to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Action is what creates readiness. Discipline is what builds certainty. You want to feel motivated? Stop watching motivational videos and start living a motivational life. One filled with early mornings, deep focus, hard decisions, and daily wins. You want to build an extraordinary life? Don't start with goals. Start with systems. Start with the structure that holds your days in place when motivation fades. Build a life where excellence is your default, not your exception. But let me be clear. This is not about productivity for the sake of hustle. This is not about filling every second of your day with busyness. No, it's about mastering your time so you can be free. Free to create, free to grow, free to rest without guilt. Free to live your vision, not someone else's. Because when your agenda reflects your highest values, your life becomes aligned. And an aligned life is a powerful life, a magnetic life, a life that moves people and mountains alike. But that requires vigilance. Your agenda is a garden. If you do not tend it, weeds will grow. Weeds of distraction, weeds of obligation, weeds of guilt and comparison and noise. Protect your garden. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Say no more often. Cut ruthlessly. Eliminate the unnecessary. Every yes to distraction is a no to destiny. Every compromise chips away at the masterpiece you're building. Be brutal with your time, because the world is not. You were not born to manage chaos. You were born to create order. Not order that suffocates, but order that liberates. That gives your creativity direction, your energy a target, your days a fire that forges greatness. And when you begin to live this way intentionally, fiercely, faithfully, everything begins to change. Not overnight, not with fireworks, but slowly, quietly, powerfully. Because your daily agenda predicts your destiny. And once that agenda becomes sacred, so does your future. The world will try to seduce you with the urgent, the loud, the endless buzz of things that look important but mean nothing. Notifications that scream for your attention. Obligations that whisper, just this once. And before you know it, you are busy, but not becoming. You are moving, but not mastering. You are exhausted, and yet empty. That's the trap. The daily erosion of your essence by 1,000 meaningless tasks. And the only antidote is sacred structure. Sacred not because it's rigid, not because it's perfect, but because it is intentional, because it reflects a choice, a decision to stop drifting and start designing. And that design begins with the most sacred space of all, your mornings. What does your morning say about your mission? Do you rise like someone chasing destiny, or do you stumble into the day like someone escaping themselves? The difference between average and elite is not talent. It's not even luck. It's what they do before 9 a.m. The elite win the day before the world even wakes, not because it's easy, but because it's required. Because they understand you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And those systems begin with the decision to take yourself seriously, to stop negotiating with your excuses, to stop letting the moods of the moment sabotage the vision of your life. You see, the life you want is already built, already real. It exists in the dimension of decisions. And every disciplined decision you make, every moment you choose, structure over chaos, purpose over pleasure, clarity over comfort pulls that life from the abstract into the concrete. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become who you really are beneath the noise. And the path to that person is paved with action, not thought, not theory, not potential. Action. Let the world debate. Let them argue about the best method, the perfect tool, the ideal strategy. While they talk, you move. While they wait, you work. While they hesitate, you execute. Because it is not the best plan that wins, it's the one that's implemented with obsession. Understand this. There is a rhythm to success. And once you lock into it, everything changes. You begin to feel it in your bones. That you are no longer reacting to life, but directing it. That you are not a passenger in your story, but the architect. And your agenda is your blueprint. Every hour accounted for. Every block of time assigned to something that feeds your fire. Whether it's learning, building, creating, reflecting it, all compounds. Every small act of alignment becomes a brick in the empire you're constructing. And here's where the magic begins. When you do this long enough, it no longer takes effort. It becomes identity. You no longer need to force focus. You are focused. You no longer wrestle with discipline. You are disciplined. It's not something you do. It's who you are. But that identity is not given. It is earned. And the currency is consistency. So let me ask you a hard question. What is your agenda saying about you? What does it say about what you truly value? What does it reveal about who you are becoming? If someone looked at your last 7 days, not your words, not your intentions, but your actions, would they see a leader, a creator, a visionary? Or would they see someone lost in the fog of indecision and distraction? This is not about shame. This is about awakening. Because once you see it, you can change it. Once you realize that your schedule is not just time, it is identity, you take back control. This is where power lives, not in the extremes, but in the daily, the repeatable, the predictable. Power is not found in chaos. It is found in the consistent alignment of thought, word, and deed. So organize your life like someone with a mission. Move like someone who knows. Their future is too big for small habits. Speak like someone who understands the weight of their words. And structure your day like someone who refuses to waste another moment on mediocrity. There are 2 types of pain in life: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One weighs ounces, the other tons. Choose wisely. Because success is not a finish line, it is a lifestyle. And that lifestyle is born in the furnace of your daily routine. Not when things are easy, but especially when they are hard. When you wake up tired, when the world pulls at you, when motivation fades and no one is cheering. That's the moment where greatness is forged. Not in the light, but in the shadows. Not in applause, but in silence. Not in comfort, but in commitment. And you don't need a perfect day to do this. You just need a pattern, a standard, a system that says, this is who I am, this is how I move, this is the mission I serve. Because a scattered agenda creates a scattered identity. But a structured day creates a solid self. And once that self is solidence, you know who you are. And how you move, and nothing can stop you. Not rejection, not failure, not criticism. Because your foundation is deeper than their opinion. Your system is stronger than their doubt. You become inevitable. Not because you're special, but because you've made success your rhythm. Because you've built your days on purpose, with purpose. And now your calendar becomes your covenant. A sacred promise to yourself that mediocrity will not be your story. So wake up, lock in, build your day like it builds your life, because it does. The storm will come. Distractions will rise like waves, crashing against the shores of your focus. Unexpected demands will knock at your door, urgent and uninvited. Life will test you not once, but constantly. And when it does, only one thing will keep you standing: the integrity of your daily agenda. Not your passion. That fades. Not your inspiration. That drifts. Not your mood. That lies. It is your structure, your system, your devotion to doing what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. That will hold the line when the chaos comes. That is where real strength lives, not in your intensity, but in your consistency. And understand this: most people don't fail because they aim too high. They fail because they aim too rarely. They set big goals and visit them once a year. But those who rise to the top, they review their mission daily. They build their life around reminders, around structure, around repetition. Because repetition is the language of mastery. They don't treat their dream like a hobby, they treat it like a duty. And so must you. Every morning, recommit, not with emotion, but with execution. Recommit in how you eat, how you move, how you think, how you speak, how you act. Let your day be a sermon of your standards. Because what you repeat becomes who you are, and what you tolerate becomes your truth. If you tolerate disorder, don't be surprised when your life feels chaotic. If you tolerate laziness, don't be shocked when results don't show up. If you tolerate distraction, don't complain when your vision grows dim. You teach the world how to treat you by how you treat your time. If your calendar is cluttered, if your days are reactive, if your routines are accidental, your results will be too. So build your day like a craftsman, not a consumer. Create blocks of time that are protected, not polluted. Build sacred space for focus, for reflection, for creation, for growth. Don't fill your day, forge it. And let me remind you of something sacred. It's not just about what you're doing. It's about who you're becoming while doing it. Because every task, no matter how small, carries with it the power to train your character. When you follow through on the workout you didn't want to do, you train discipline. When you start writing, even though you're uninspired, you train courage. When you stick to your budget when it would feel good to splurge, you train wisdom. When you say no to the noise and yes to your plan, you train identity. And all of this happens in the mundane, in the repetition, in the silence. You won't always feel the change day to day, but give it a season and your entire life transforms. It's like planting a seed. You water, you nurture, you wait. And for a while it looks like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface roots are growing, a foundation is forming. And one day it breaks through, not by magic, but by compounding. Your daily agenda is that soil, and what you plant in it you will one day harvest. So choose wisely. Do not plant weeds and expect flowers. Do not scatter your time and expect results. Choose habits that echo with purpose. Choose actions that align with your vision. Choose days that speak your destiny into existence. You want a rich life? Make rich days. Days rich with intention, rich with progress, rich with presence. Because no one arrives at greatness by accident. They arrive by design. By deliberate days stacked one on top of another until excellence becomes inevitable. And yes, it will be hard. It will be inconvenient. It will require sacrifice. But what's the alternative? Regret? Mediocrity? A life spent wondering what could have been if you just got serious? No. Not you. Not now. You are here because something in you knows there's more. Knows that your potential is not some abstract concept. It's a fire waiting to be fueled. And the fuel is simple. Do the work daily, unapologetically, without permission, without perfect conditions. Because waiting for the perfect moment is the fastest way to watch your life pass you by. The only perfect moment is the one you claim, the one you shape with your decisions, the one you own by what you do right now. So ask yourself, if I live this day on repeat, what kind of life would it produce? If that question rattles you good, it means you're waking up. It means the illusion is breaking. It means you're ready to shift from wishing to working, from dreaming to designing, from hoping to executing. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be is not talent. It's not luck. It's not even opportunity. It's consistency. Brick by brick, task by task, day by day. Build the bridge. And don't just build it with speed. Build it with soul, with presence, with excellence. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. And every action you take is casting a vote for the person you want to become. So cast wisely, vote daily, show up like your future depends on it, because it does. Your legacy is not written in grand gestures. It is etched in ordinary days, lived with extraordinary purpose. This is the truth few accept. Your agenda is your autobiography. It's the story your future will read, the story your results will reflect, the story your character will become. So write that story with fire, with focus, with the kind of resolve that bends reality. Let every hour scream, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what I will become. And when you live like that, when your agenda becomes a masterpiece of purpose, then yes, your destiny becomes unstoppable. There comes a point when the world stops believing in promises and starts watching patterns. The people around you, the forces above you, the dreams within you, they are not responding to your words. They are responding to your rhythm, your consistency, your unwavering, undeniable, unstoppable pattern. You want to be respected? Build a pattern. You want to be trusted? Build a pattern. You want to be legendary? Build a pattern. Not of perfection, but of presence, of resilience, of rising again and again and again until life bends to the will of your schedule, until results no longer surprise you, they simply reflect you. Because what the world calls magic, the disciplined call routine. What they call breakthrough, the focused call Tuesday. And what they call success, the committed call, inevitable. Let that word settle. Inevitable. Not lucky, not sudden, not dramatic, but earned, constructed, engineered by hundreds, thousands of days done right. Days that most people would have wasted. Days that looked boring on the outside, but burned with intention on the inside. Because that's where greatness hides in repetition. In the silent, sweaty hours when you choose growth over gossip, vision over vices, clarity over comfort. Every minute has a consequence. Every day is a vote. And the universe is always listening not to your declarations, but to your discipline. And here's the brutal truth. You cannot escape your own habits. You will never outdream a broken system. You will never outrun a lazy morning. You will never outtalk a day that you let run you. So stop negotiating with the day. Conquer it. When you wake up, don't ask what the day has in store for you. Tell it what you have in store for it. You are not the victim of time, you are the commander of it. This is not arrogance. This is authority. You were given 24 hours just like the giants before you. Einstein had 24. Da Vinci had 24. Jim Rohn had 24. What made the difference wasn't more time, it was more intention. So, build a daily code, a standard that becomes untouchable, a way of life that no distraction, no failure, no mood can take from you. And guard it like your soul depends on it, because in a way it does. And when it gets hard, and it will remember, resistance is the price of transformation. The more aligned your day becomes with your purpose, the more resistance you will feel. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something right. Growth is not smooth. It is jagged. It is painful. It is sacred. Your mind will protest. Your body will beg. Your environment will push back. But you must hold the line. You must hold the schedule. You must hold the standard. And then like dawn breaking through the night, it changes. You start becoming unrecognizable to your past, to your doubters, even to yourself. Because now you don't just talk different, you walk different. You think with clarity. You move with force. You rest with peace. Your life becomes ordered, not out of control. Designed, not chaotic. Powerful, not passive. And people will ask you how. They'll say you're lucky. They'll say you're gifted. They'll say, it just happened for you. But you'll know. It was the daily grind. It was the small, silent, uncelebrated wins. It was the refusal to waste one more hour in mediocrity. It was the decision to own your agenda before the world could write it for you. And when you look back years from now at the life you built, the impact you made, the legacy you leave, you will not thank the easy days. You will thank the structured ones, the hard ones, the lonely ones, the ones where no one was watching, but you showed up anyway. That's when it counted. That's when the seeds of destiny were planted. In the calendar you once ignored, in the minutes you used to waste, in the silence you finally respected. So rise. Structure your day like it matters, because it does. Move through your hours like they are gold, because they are. And never again let another sunset catch you wandering. Wanderers don't leave legacies. Architects do. This is your blueprint, your map, your schedule. This is not a planner. This is prophecy. Your agenda predicts your destiny, so write wisely, live fiercely, and guard your time like your life depends on it. Because it absolutely does. And when the dust settles, when all the noise fades, you'll realize something profound. Something that changes how you walk through every doorway, how you sit with yourself in the quiet, how you lead, how you love, how you live. That freedom, real, lasting, soul-deep freedom, does not come from chaos. It comes from order, the kind of order you design, not the one imposed on you. The kind of structure you choose, not the one forced upon you by panic and deadlines and emergencies. Because let's be honest, if you don't plan your life, someone else will. The world is full of people who would love to hijack your time, full of agendas waiting for an open calendar, full of companies, apps, ads, and even well-meaning friends ready to insert themselves into your space if you leave the door open. But when you step into life with a locked-in, purpose-driven agenda, you send a message to the universe. This time is taken by vision, taken by discipline, taken by purpose. And suddenly, the distractions shrink, the temptations fade, the fog begins to lift. Not because life got easier, but because you got aligned. Alignment is power. Alignment is peace. Alignment is clarity. When your daily actions mirror your highest values, you no longer need motivation. Your life becomes a reflection of your truth, and truth does not need hype. It only needs honor. So start honoring your time like it's sacred. Start treating your goals like they deserve to live. Stop scheduling yourself around obligation and start structuring around becoming. You are not just trying to stay afloat, you are building a vessel. One that will carry you through every storm, every failure, every drought. And that vessel is not built in a single moment of motivation. It's built in the rhythm of responsibility. Brick by brick, block by block, hour by sacred hour. So ask yourself, again, is your daily agenda strong enough to carry the weight of your destiny? If not, rebuild it. Don't adjust your dreams, adjust your days. Don't lower the berets your routine. Because if your agenda doesn't respect your future, it will rob it. It will steal it in the small moments, in the just 5 minutes, in the I'll start tomorrow. Let today be the day you burn the bridge to someday. Let today be the day you stop treating your dream like it's optional. Let today be the day you stop asking for signs and start becoming one. The sign of commitment, the sign of consistency, the sign of someone who chose to master time before time mastered them. And when people look at your life and ask, how did you do it? You'll smile not because it was easy, but because it was earned. Earned in the quiet mornings. Earned in the repeated disciplines. Earned in the moments you stuck to your structure, even when your feelings screamed for comfort. That's when you'll know. Success is not a finish line. It's a rhythm, a pulse. A pattern of power repeated daily until your identity becomes undeniable. Not a wish, not a fluke, not a hope, but a reality you designed with the hands of discipline. And when you look at the empire you've built, when you see the respect, the freedom, the wealth, the impact, you'll know it all started with one ordinary day, one deliberate morning, one sacred agenda. That's the power of now. That's the miracle of repetition. That's the destiny written not in stars, but in schedules. So write it, live it, protect it. Because in the end, it's not your dreams that define your future. It's what you do between 6 a.m. and midnight. And when your daily agenda becomes non-negotiable, your destiny becomes inevitable. And when it all comes together, when the structure aligns with your soul, when your hours reflect your hunger, when your actions mirror your ambition, then time bends to your will. You move differently. You speak with conviction. You walk into rooms with presence. You no longer chase opportunities, they find you. Because power gravitates toward clarity. And clarity is forged in structure. There is no mystery to mastery. It is mundane. It is monotonous. It is magnificently boring. But boring builds empires. Think about it. The athlete who dominates the world isn't doing 1,000 different workouts. They're doing the same reps with obsession, The writer whose words pierce the soul isn't chasing inspiration, they're showing up to the blank page every single morning without fail. The entrepreneur who builds generational wealth isn't gambling on moments, they're managing minutes. You want to win in life? Fall in love with the rhythm. Fall in love with the ordinary until it becomes extraordinary. Let your habits hum with harmony until your life becomes a song of purpose. Because real power is quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't post. It doesn't beg for attention. It wakes up, does the work, and builds a life so rich, so deep, so unshakable that it speaks for itself. And yes, it will be lonely at times. Because few are willing to walk this road. They want the rewards, but not the requirements. They want the praise, but not the process. They want the feeling, but not the formula. But you are not like them. You have decided. You have declared. You have drawn the line. And from this moment forward, your days will not be wasted. They will be woven like a craftsman at the loom, each thread laid with care, each choice building a pattern, each block of time building a legacy. Because one day, yes, one day someone will look at your life and say, they were born for this. But you'll know the truth. You weren't born for this. You built this one decision at a time, one disciplined day at a time, one iron-willed morning after another. That is the difference between dreams and destiny. Not what you wish would happen, but what you make happen. So take back your time, design your days, and let your calendar become a mirror of your mission. You don't need more hours. You need more intention. You don't need more motivation. You need more momentum. You don't need more inspiration. You need more implementation. Because the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards proof. And proof lives in your patterns. So write your legacy in the language of discipline. Etch your greatness into your agenda. And let every hour declare the truth. That this life is yours. That this mission is non-negotiable. And that your destiny is not a dream waiting to be wished for. It is a fire waiting to be lived. Because here's what most never understand. Your destiny isn't some finish line you stumble upon in a flash of brilliance. It's something you construct brick by brick, decision by decision, hour by hour. And if you look closely, the ones who win in life, the ones who make it look effortless, they're not frantic. They're not flailing. They're fluent in their own rhythm. They wake up with fire. Not because they're always motivated, but because their structure demands it. They create even when it's hard, not because it's always fun, but because their schedule commands it. They execute even when it's boring, not because they're special, but because they refuse to negotiate with average. And that's what this is about. Refusing to negotiate. Refusing to let temporary emotions rewrite your eternal mission. Refusing to let the small you hijack the future you. Because the truth is this. Every time you skip the hard thing, you strengthen the weak voice. Every time you delay what matters, you drift further from who you're meant to be. Every time you say, just this once, your standard slips. And soon the exception becomes your identity. But when your agenda becomes sacred, when your calendar becomes a canvas painted with purpose, when your hours bow to your highest self, then you don't just manage time. You master it. You become dangerous to mediocrity, to doubt, to the version of you that almost made it. Because suddenly, the question is no longer, what do I feel like doing today? The question becomes, what would the future me do in this exact moment? Would they sleep in? Would they skip the reps? Would they scroll or study? Would they complain or create? Would they react or rise? When your days are directed by your future self, your present self stops getting in the way. And that's when everything changes. You start speaking differently. You start moving with certainty. You start executing like someone who already knows the outcome because they've written it. In sweat, in silence, in schedule. And while the world keeps asking for hacks, You've built a habit. While others search for shortcuts, you've found the straightest path, consistency. And while they're still trying to get focused, you've become focus. That's what this is. Not a tactic, not a tip, not a temporary fix. This is an identity shift from reactive to proactive, from scattered to structured, from uncertain to unstoppable. You no longer let the day decide who you are. You decide the day. Before it begins, before the chaos, before the excuses show up to negotiate, because you're not building a life you tolerate. You're building a life that demands respect. And the foundation of that life is your daily rhythm. So protect it. Guard it like royalty guards the crown. Feed it like a flame that will die without fuel, because your energy follows your structure. Your confidence follows your routine. Your wealth, your health, your peace, your legacy, they all bow to your agenda. And every moment that you treat that agenda with honor, you earn a piece of the life you once thought was impossible. But make no mistake, this is not about control. This is about freedom. Freedom to create without distraction. Freedom to rest without guilt. Freedom to live in such alignment that even your stillness has power. That kind of freedom, it is bought with discipline, with saying no when it's uncomfortable, with doing what matters when no one is watching, with living like your legacy depends on it, because it does. So from this moment on, let your life be a reflection of a new law, that your calendar is your compass, that your hours are your home, that your habits are holy, and that every day you show up, every task you complete, every priority you honor, you are not just checking off a list. You are building a future that cannot be denied. You are not chasing success. You are becoming it. And as you keep showing up day after day, task after task, something remarkable happens. The world begins to shift around you. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach start gravitating toward your orbit. Not because you begged for them, not because you posted about how hard you're grinding, but because your energy has changed. Your standard has changed. Your aura has changed. People feel it even if they can't explain it. They see it in your eyes. They hear it in your voice. They sense the power of someone who knows exactly what they're doing here. You are no longer moving through life hoping to find purpose. You bring purpose into every room. You don't look for permission. You carry authority, because your discipline speaks louder than any introduction ever could. And let's be clear, this isn't about being busy. Busy is a lie. The unfocused tell themselves to feel important. This is about being intentional, about doing less, but doing it with absolute domination, about identifying the vital few and eliminating the trivial many. Because success isn't built on volume, it's built on precision. Every day you ask, what moves the needle? What makes me sharper? What compounds over time? And then you do that ruthlessly, relentlessly, repeatedly. Because results are not born in intensity, they're born in iteration. Not in doing everything once, but in doing the essential things forever. This is how legacies are built. Not in spurts of inspiration, but in systems of execution. Systems that run even when you're tired, even when you're doubting, even when everything feels heavy. You fall back not on motivation, but on mastery. The structure catches you. The rhythm rescues you. The agenda carries you. And now, you're no longer building from scratch each day. You're building on top of momentum. You're stacking wins. You're compounding power. And soon, you've become someone they said was lucky. Someone they claim had the right timing. Someone they always knew would make it. But they didn't see the days you kept your structure when chaos was easier. They didn't see the nights you stuck to the plan when comfort was calling. They didn't see the mornings you rose when everyone else rolled over. You saw that. You lived that. And you earned this. Because destiny doesn't arrive in a flash. It grows in the shadows, in the repetition, in the rituals. So if you want to change your future, don't change your life. Change your day. Write it with the precision of a warrior. Execute it with the heart of a lion. Protect it with the discipline of a king. And you will rise. You will rise not as someone who got lucky, but as someone who became inevitable, because your daily agenda didn't just predict your destiny. It created it. And now the question is no longer if you will succeed. The question is how far you are willing to go, how long you are willing to hold the line, how deeply you are willing to stay rooted when the winds of life try to bend you. Because make no mistake, they will come. Distractions will disguise themselves as opportunities. Comfort will whisper in moments of fatigue. Doubt will masquerade as logic. But you won't flinch because your life is no longer run by emotion. It's run by design. You've built too much. You've sacrificed too much. You've come too far to throw it away for temporary satisfaction. Because the old version of you, the one that made excuses, that broke promises, that sabotaged progress when it got uncomfortable, is gone. Buried in the graveyard of yesterday's patterns. What walks through your days now is a force. Focused, fierce, final. You've reached the point where structure is no longer a burden, it's your freedom. Where discipline is no longer punishment, it's your power. You no longer need the external to push you. The fire burns within. And that fire is fed by something bigger than goals, bigger than checklists, bigger than applause. It's fed by legacy. The kind of legacy that doesn't fade when the money's spent. The kind of legacy that lives in how you made people feel, in how you move through life with courage, in the example you set, in the standard you walked in every single day. Because what if you're not just building success for yourself? What if your discipline becomes the inheritance for generations who will never meet you, but will be influenced by the life you built? What if your children grow up thinking excellence is normal because you made it so? What if your habits outlive you? What if your schedule becomes scripture for someone else's breakthrough? This is what you're fighting for. Not just results, but ripple. You don't just rise for yourself. You rise for everyone who will one day be changed because you refuse to be average, because you refused to surrender your days to noise, because you refuse to let another hour pass without purpose. And when the world tries to sell chaos as cool, when they glorify hustle without healing, distraction without direction, motion without meaning, you will walk the other way with poise, with calm, with precision, because you're not just building a business. You're not just chasing success. You're not just reaching goals. You are sculpting a soul. You are designing a destiny. You are moving through time as a living declaration. I was here, I mattered, and I built this. Every hour, a signature. Every day, a declaration. Every week, a wall in the fortress of your becoming. You've chosen the rare road, the road of integrity, the road of sovereignty, the road of those who don't just dream, they deliver. And as you keep walking, with that agenda in hand, with that rhythm in your bones, with that purpose stamped on every single second, you will feel it. That sense of internal peace, not because everything is easy, but because you are in alignment. That's what structure gives you. Not just results, but revelation. Not just income, but inner power. Not just wins, but a warrior's peace. So rise again tomorrow. Review your plan. Refine your focus. Recommit to the rhythm, because the path is clear. The system is sound. The vision is alive. And now, so are you. A roar from the depths of your soul. A roar that says, I am no longer a servant to time. I am a sculptor of destiny. This is your life. Right here. Right now. No more waiting. No more wondering. No more wavering. You have everything you need. Not someday. Not when it's easier. not when you feel ready. Now, the discipline is inside you. The clarity is inside you. The power to rise and reorder the chaos of life with calm command. It's not out there. It's in your hands. And it always has been. It just needed a plan. It needed a rhythm. It needed an agenda that treated your time like gold, because it is. And when you begin to guard your time, when you begin to cut the unnecessary, when you begin to move through the day like your future depends on it, because it does, you transcend. You transcend distraction. You transcend laziness. You transcend who you were last year, last month, yesterday. You become new, and not by accident, but by design. People will feel it when you walk in. That fire, that focus, that stillness that comes not from arrogance, but alignment. That gravity that comes from knowing who you are, why you're here, and what you do with your time. You don't need to yell. You don't need to flex. Your presence becomes your proof, because your life no longer speaks the language of maybe. It speaks the language of certainty. And where does it begin? Not with some grand event, not with a life-altering moment, not with applause or approval. It begins with your next hour, your next action, your next morning, because how you live your days becomes how you live your life. And when your agenda becomes aligned with your ambition, when your routine matches your reasons, when your habits carry the weight of your hopes, you become a force the world cannot ignore. And that force is not random. It's not mystical. It's measurable. It's methodical. It's right there on your calendar. So don't just write plans, live them. Don't just dream of transformation, schedule it. Don't just hope you'll change design the days that demand it. Because at the end of your life, when the story is told, when your time is up, when the pages are closed and the lights go out, it won't be the dreams you dreamed that will echo into eternity. It'll be the days you lived with intention, the moments you showed up when it was hard, the hours you owned when it was easier to hide. That's the real legacy. Not the highlight reel, but the daily rhythm that no one saw, but built everything. So go, rise, plan with purpose, live with discipline, move with vision, and build a daily life so potent, so present, so powerfully aligned that destiny has no choice but to bow to your command. Because now you know your daily agenda is not just a schedule. It is your prophecy. And what you do with it creates everything. This is the truth. This is the law. This is the code of the uncommon. Your time is sacred. Your life is a masterpiece. And you are the artist. Now pick up the brush and paint a future no one can erase. Let the world watch in awe.